It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. Gents and ladies, no time to waste. Don't be afraid, it's time to trade. Let's start your brains like high-speed trains. Storm these games like hurricanes. It's time to save this herd this days. Put on your cape and learn the phrase. It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. Hello there. Guess what? Just as we predicted,
Exactly as I have been predicting.
something was coming for Bitcoin. We didn't know if it was going to be to the upside or the downside, but we knew some side was coming our way.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
I'm going to do my best to give you a quick, recap of the Fed meeting today with Mr. Powell and what he had to say in today's episode. Thank you for joining me on TA with MK. My name is McKay. If you're liking the content, please remember to like and subscribe, and let's get to it. We see rate increases as necessary in the future. We expect to reduce the size of our balance sheet. We're dead set on meeting our job and inflation targets. The U.S. economy remains very strong. I see widespread improvement in labor market conditions. We see an extremely tight labor market. The economy is well positioned to withstand tighter monetary policy. The objective is to achieve price stability while maintaining a strong labor market. Probability of a recession is not particularly elevated. With less accommodative policy, the economy is likely to thrive. The FOMC is determined to restore price stability. We are concerned about the possibility of increased inflationary pressures. And with all that being said, the Fed has raised the interest rate 0.25, with potentially 6 more this year in line with our scheduled meetings. Bob would a bob da bang diggy diggy. Diggy said the boogie, said up jump the boogie. Mic drop. All right, nothing to see here. Pretty chill meeting for the most part. Everything kind of went as predicted. There was some rumor of potentially 0.5 rate hikes. We only got the 0.25 as expected. He didn't say anything to scare anyone, so that's a plus. So let's go ahead and dive into the charts. We'll start out on the Bitcoin 1-hour chart. First day in a while, we've actually had something to talk about. Bitcoin isn't just trying to lull us to sleep. Let me get my paintbrush out real quick. So first we had this little breakout of the potential trend line that I had drawn. This was earlier today, right before the meetings. Anytime there's some big meetings coming out that could have potential good news, bad news, whatever it may be, there's always a lot of volatility right before that. So this was more of a scam or somewhat of a manipulation type wick, or just the markets being very active right before the news. So you had this breakout where it actually got to almost 41,000, just over 41,700. Of course, big sell-off, that's what volatility is. But as the good news started to kind of get confirmed, and when I say good news, I just mean it wasn't bad news. So I guess no news is good news in a sense. But anyway, then you actually did have this resistance up here get hit, came back, bullish retest of my zone I was talking about in the last couple of days videos about we needed a break. I had been targeting 40,300 as a very important number to get above. We did wick below a little bit here on the sell-off and the volatility. Usually that's just to hit stop losses, a little bit of manipulation. People that are over leveraged, get liquidated, things of that nature. But we did get the bullish retest right at the bottom of my red zone. And then right now, we're pumped back up over this next level of resistance. It's not heavy resistance, but we're back over 41K. I do expect us most likely to come back down, maybe consolidate above, but hopefully we can hold 40,300. Next, we're going to head over to the S&P 500 chart. So this is the SPX, or the S&P 500. The nice thing about the traditional stock market, or the S&P anyway, is it tends to follow TA even better than crypto. It's a lot larger, obviously, more money, more institutions, so it's less manipulation. There's always manipulation, but there's less of it, and it's harder to manipulate because it takes a lot more money. Crypto it's still a small asset, so we get a lot of scammy wicks. But here's the SPX. Now it's been inside this solid falling wedge, and it had this low here, this lower low, but it bounced on the bottom of this trend line, and then it put in a small double bottom here, or a bigger higher low. So what we were looking for was a potential recovery anyway. But then over today's decent news, or once again not bad news, it's actually recovered quite a bit. Well, now it's sitting at the top of this more important trend line where it's had 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touches. So what we want to see for a bullish, for stocks and crypto and everything over the coming days is we need to see this break above this wedge, retest it. You can also see here on the daily that my 200-day moving averages, the simple, which is the yellow, and the EMA or the exponential, which is the blue, are also going to act as overhead resistance. So what would be really bullish is if we could break above this trend line and those, confirm it as support, and then start heading higher. You'll see a huge rally, I would imagine, out of crypto, especially if the S&P can work with us. On the flip side, this could act as resistance. What we'd be looking for at that point, if we do get a small pullback, is maybe back to, say, like this level here, which would be another higher low, and then maybe on the next attempt we can break out somewhere down here and head higher. Now we'll hop over to our EGLD or Elron chart that we've been following and covering the past couple of days, off and on for the past few weeks actually. Again, Elron just had a bullish structure to me. It did break out of its wedge recently, or its downward trend line, which is obviously bullish. It had this low here, this higher low, broke the trend line. I had been mentioning in yesterday's video that what I was looking for to enter was a break of 160 and a retest. Now, I didn't get the perfect entry, and I never do because obviously the alert goes off. It wicked up here to 167. On the retest back, I got in at 160.64, so 64 cents higher than I'd like. Obviously, I'm in a little bit of profits right now. What I plan to allocate to EGLD, that was just 15%. What I'm looking for now is if the S&P gets rejected and potentially has to head down lower and work on putting in another higher low, we could lose 160. Doesn't mean we're going to hold it just because we broke it. If we come back down here, I'll be looking to add 35% at the point of control, which is back just above 140. I'd probably front run it at about 142-ish. Otherwise, if it does, crypto continues to go up, S&P and all that, then what I'll be looking for at that point would be to take some profits up here at about 185 and then look to re-enter if, actually be about 184. But if it could break the 185 range, this next area that I have where it was support previously, big resistance here. This is actually also the neckline basically for this. It's not an official double bottom because it was a low and a higher low, but more or less you had the price kind of bounce at the same area. So the neckline for that is up here, right? So this is where I would expect a lot of profit taking to happen in the short term with EGLD, especially if the market's still somewhat iffy. So that's all also work to take profit there. But if it can break that at some point and retest it and flip 185 as support, that would be the next spot I would look to add to my position. Quick update on XRP. It's still consolidating below resistance. However, if the market can remain somewhat bullish, it is looking good. It's getting closer, obviously, to the 80 cents area that I was targeting from yesterday for entry. It's making more or less a rounded bottom, which is just a consolidate, especially below resistance. This is bullish. Anytime, you do get rejected and you get, retrace, obviously that in the short term is bearish. But if you could see it find support, put in, this low and confirm a higher low, and then it starts to do this rounded bottom pattern, that's just if you zoom into smaller time frames, that just means it keeps putting in higher lows, right? That's what creates this rounded bottom. People are buying at this level, and then more people step in and say, hey, I'll buy at this level, I'll buy at this level. There's a lot more buying pressure than selling pressure, and eventually, as long as the markets cooperate, in Bitcoin that is, it should break out to the upside above 80 cents. I'm looking for it to break out, and I'd like to enter with my 15%. If this happens, if it could do a support resistance flip of around 80 to 81 cents. Super quick update on Tower. There really is no update. Not much has happened with it yet, but it is down near major support. Looks like it's trying to put in a double bottom if the market can cooperate. Bitcoin, that is. What we're looking for is a break of this trend line, and then hopefully either a higher low, which would be kind of like a retest of the trend line. If it could basically break and flip 20 cents after it breaks out of this trend line, that's where I would look to enter with about 15% of what I plan to allocate. I'd even be willing to go as high as 21 cents if it could flip kind of that zone of support and resistance. If it could flip it from resistance to support at around like 21.5, 0.0215, that's where I'd be looking to enter. Tower is a metaverse play to earn coin. I just like that it's down here near major support. You can see previously when it broke out of this last trend line, it happened at the bottom of this green box. We're back at that green box again, so the likelihood of it breaking higher if the market cooperates is high. And, you know, you have a ton of upside, so we'll keep an eye on it. And then I just want to talk about one other coin. I guess we could call it like the bonus coin. KLV, I've mentioned it previously as one that it was on my radar, one that I've been tracking. It has a lot of news coming up. I think it's a finance coin. I want to say it's Clever Finance. It's got testnet coming up, mainnet at the end of the month. So it's stacked with news. Mainnet launch, it comes in June. So it's stacked with news, so there's obviously going to be eyes on it for that reason. And then just from a pattern perspective, it's been in this falling wedge, right? Rejection once, rejection twice, 3, a little bit of a fake out recently or a bull trap, 4, you know, bottom trend line, of course, 1, 2, you know, 3 and 4 touches down there as well. So it's a very valid pattern that it's been in. This isn't major support. I just want to point out, obviously it interacted with it back here, but clearly it's acting as pretty strong support at the moment because you had this big bounce at the end of February at the bottom of my green zone. And then now you've put in a double bottom most recently here just a couple days ago. What I'm looking for is a break of this trend line. And then if it does retrace, get in on a higher low somewhere between, we'll say, 0.1925 and say like 0.02, right? That would be after it breaks. Or an even safer entry would be to wait for it to break this upper zone of resistance at about 0.0227. I will just call it 0.023. That's easier. If it could break and flip 0.023 support, that would be a good spot to enter as well. So if this is just one I've got on my radar, we'll follow up with it tomorrow. Most important thing to keep in mind is that the market never recovers all at once. You know, if this was to be, say, the beginning of a decent little recovery or at least a relief rally, a bigger dead cat bounce, there's a lot of words for it. There's still going to be volatility over the coming, you know, hours and days. You could expect, you know, retrace back down or retest 40K. We still need to confirm that and make sure that we confirm that we are flipping that as support. Obviously, I identified 40,300 as a key level. So, you know, be patient. Wait for the trades to come to you, and you'll be more successful. Thanks, as always, for joining me on TA with MK. Remember to like and subscribe if you are enjoying the content. And you guys have a wonderful day.
It's TA.